Emma Collins and Khalid Al-Saif looked like the perfect couple. She, the stunning American model chasing luxury, and he, Dubai's billionaire prince with everything money could buy. But behind their glittering wedding night hid a deadly secret, one that would turn love into murder before the sun came up. What began as a fairy tale in the world's richest city ended in blood, betrayal, and a mystery that still haunts the Burj Al Arab to this day. Asterisk asterisk. The crime scene presents a new page of crime, a new mystery, a new shock case. Dubai sparkled that evening like a city carved from gold. The skyline shimmered against the night sky, and inside the Burj Al Arab, the wedding of the year was in full swing. Emma Collins, the stunning 27-year-old American model who had taken social media by storm, had just married Khalid Al-Saif, one of Dubai's youngest billionaires. Every moment looked straight out of a movie: camera flashes, champagne towers, and guests dripping in designer labels. The media couldn't get enough of them. The hashtag Em and Khalid Forever was trending worldwide before the cake was even cut. Emma looked like she was born to live this life, gliding through the ballroom in her hand-embroidered dress worth more than most people's homes. Khalid watched her like a man hypnotized. He was tall, perfectly tailored, and radiated the kind of confidence that came from old money and new power. They seemed untouchable, the perfect modern fairy tale, a rich prince and a beautiful American bride. But behind the smiles, something darker pulsed beneath the perfection. Guests whispered about how fast it all happened. They'd met only 6 months ago, and now here they were, exchanging vows under chandeliers made of crystal. To outsiders, it looked like love at first sight, but to those who knew Khalid, it looked more like obsession. He wasn't a man used to waiting for anything he wanted, and Emma had become his newest prize. When the party finally died down and the last sparkler faded, the couple disappeared into their penthouse suite high above the sea. The city below glowed like a promise, but inside those walls, destiny was already shifting. The fairy tale would not last until morning. Beneath the glitter, something deadly waited, something that no one, not even Emma, could escape. Emma Collins had always been a girl who wanted more than what life handed her. Growing up in the rough neighborhoods of Miami, she learned fast that beauty could open doors money never could. Her mother worked double shifts at a diner. Her father vanished when she was 12, and by 16, Emma was already hustling, modeling, waitressing, and occasionally bending the rules to survive. But Miami was small, and Emma dreamed bigger. She wanted luxury, fame, and a life where no one ever told her no again. When an agent offered her a chance to model in Dubai, she didn't hesitate. The city looked like paradise, a place where every night sparkled, every man drove something expensive, and every secret could stay hidden under the desert sun. By the time she landed, Emma had reinvented herself completely. Gone was the Miami girl with the past she wanted to bury. In her place stood Amelia Hart, a sophisticated influencer with a perfect accent and flawless story. She scrubbed her online history, deleted old accounts, and started fresh, presenting herself as a world-traveling entrepreneur. Her charm was magnetic, and soon she was mingling with Dubai's elite, sheiks, investors, and celebrities. But none of them fascinated her like Khalid Al-Saif. He was young, powerful, and dangerously curious. Their paths crossed at an exclusive yacht party under the moonlit Gulf. One look, and Emma knew he was her ticket into the world she'd always wanted. Khalid fell for her mystery instantly, blinded by her beauty and confidence. Still, deep down, Emma carried the weight of her past like a shadow she couldn't shake. She told herself she could keep it buried forever. What she didn't know was that Dubai wasn't a place where secrets stayed hidden for long. Khalid Al-Saif wasn't the type of man to trust easily. Beneath the tailored suits and polished smile was someone shaped by betrayal. His ex-fiancée had humiliated him years earlier, running off with a rival businessman just weeks before their engagement party. Since then, Khalid had built walls around his heart, brick by brick, behind layers of charm and wealth. So when Emma, now calling herself Amelia Hart, entered his world, his attraction to her was instant but cautious. She was too perfect, too polished, and her timing felt almost scripted. Still, he couldn't look away. Their relationship became the talk of Dubai's elite scene. Every photo of them screamed power couple, sunset yacht trips, designer vacations, and appearances at charity galas. Khalid treated her like royalty, showering her with diamonds and designer gowns. Yet deep down, he couldn't quiet the unease. He'd catch her looking at her phone a little too long, or changing the subject when he asked about her family. It wasn't much, but to a man like Khalid, those little things didn't go unnoticed. Behind the scenes, his paranoia took control. He hired a private investigator, a discreet former intelligence officer, to dig into her background. Just to be safe, he told himself, convincing his conscience it was merely due diligence. Within weeks, the investigator uncovered fragments, an old Miami address, a closed court record, a few blurry photos that didn't match the image Emma portrayed. Still, Khalid didn't confront her. He wanted proof, and he wanted control. Until he had both, he played his part perfectly, the doting fiancé, the hopeless romantic. But each kiss, each smile, felt more like a lie he was rehearsing. He was falling for her, yes, but he was also preparing for the moment she slipped. And in his mind, when she did, he'd be ready. The wedding was nothing short of legendary, the kind of event people in Dubai would whisper about for years. Guests arrived in Rolls Royces, walking past marble fountains and floral arches taller than cars. The ballroom shimmered in gold and ivory, every corner dripping in money. Cameras flashed non-stop as Emma, wrapped in a breathtaking couture gown that took 6 months to handcraft, glided down the aisle toward Khalid. He stood at the altar, confident and composed, looking like he had just stepped out of a luxury magazine. To the crowd, they were perfection, Dubai's golden couple, untouchable and adored. The vows were emotional, choreographed perfectly for the dozens of phones recording every second. When Khalid slipped the diamond ring onto her finger, the crowd gasped. It wasn't just a ring, it was a statement, a 20-carat promise that screamed power. Fireworks exploded over the Burj Al Arab as they sealed their marriage with a kiss. For the cameras, it was love at its most cinematic. For Emma, it was a victory. For Khalid, it was a performance. The reception went on until midnight, fueled by champagne and celebration. Influencers posted every detail online, and luxury magazines were already drafting headlines. But beneath the glitz, Emma sensed a strange tension in Khalid's gaze, an intensity that didn't match his smile. He watched her too closely, like a man studying a secret. She brushed it off, convincing herself it was nerves or love's intensity. When the music faded and guests departed, Khalid led Emma to the private penthouse suite overlooking the Arabian Gulf. The city below glowed like a dream. She didn't know that behind that dream, a nightmare was already unraveling. As the elevator doors closed, the cameras stopped rolling, and the fairy tale everyone admired took its final, fatal turn. A few hours before the ceremony, while Emma was getting her hair done in a suite filled with perfume and laughter, an unmarked envelope was dropped off at Khalid's office. It was hand-delivered by a courier who left no name, just a faint trace of cologne and a warning look. Khalid's assistant hesitated before bringing it to him, but the moment Khalid tore it open, the room seemed to freeze. Inside were glossy photos, time-stamped, detailed, and impossible to deny. There she was, Emma Collins, not Amelia Hart, standing in front of a police station in Miami, wearing an orange jumpsuit and handcuffs. Attached were court documents, charges of fraud, grand larceny, and identity theft. A quick search confirmed what the papers claimed. Emma Collins had once been arrested for scamming wealthy investors through fake luxury deals. The records showed she had skipped bail 3 years ago and disappeared. Khalid's hands trembled as he flipped through each page, realization sinking like poison. The woman he was about to marry wasn't who she claimed to be. He could have called it off. He could have ended everything right there. But pride and humiliation burned hotter than anger. To cancel the wedding would be to admit he'd been fooled again, that the world's most desirable bachelor had been played. So, he smiled, straightened his tuxedo, and told no one. The ceremony went on flawlessly, every guest blinded by gold and romance. But behind Khalid's calm eyes, something cold had settled, a plan forming quietly, dangerously. He slipped the envelope into his jacket pocket and carried it all night, even to the dance floor. Every step, every toast, every touch with his new bride was an act. The cameras saw love, but Khalid saw betrayal wrapped in white silk, and he wasn't about to let it slide. The penthouse suite sat high above the city, wrapped in glass and silence. From the outside, it looked like paradise. Rose petals scattered across the bed, soft jazz playing through hidden speakers, a bottle of champagne chilling on the marble table. But inside, something felt off. The air was heavy, too still, as if the room itself was holding its breath. Emma stood by the window in her wedding dress, gazing out at the glittering skyline, her reflection faint in the glass. Behind her, Khalid poured drinks with a steady hand, but his mind was miles away, replaying those mugshots over and over. When he handed her the glass, she noticed the way his eyes lingered, not with love, but with calculation. The warmth from earlier was gone, replaced by something colder, something watching. She tried to make small talk, but he barely responded, his voice clipped, his tone flat. It didn't take long for her instincts to kick in. Emma had spent her life reading people, and she could sense the shift immediately. Something in him had changed. She excused herself to the bathroom, locking the door and breathing hard. Her reflection stared back, perfect yet terrified. Had someone found her out? Had her past finally caught up? She grabbed her phone, trying to check her messages, but the signal was gone. No Wi-Fi, no service. The isolation was complete. Outside, Khalid sat on the edge of the bed, his expression blank, the envelope resting on the nightstand. The soft hum of the city below was the only sound between them. Emma stepped out of the bathroom, pretending nothing was wrong, but her pulse was racing. He smiled at her then, slow, deliberate, and empty. The honeymoon suite wasn't a sanctuary anymore. It had become a trap wrapped in luxury. The night cameras in the hallway caught them entering the penthouse bedroom at 1:43 a.m. Emma's laughter echoed faintly before the door shut. After that, silence. No one knew what went on inside those walls, but what happened over the next 45 minutes would become one of Dubai's most chilling mysteries. At 2:28 a.m., Khalid appeared on the camera again, walking calmly down the hallway, his tux jacket gone, his shirt half untucked, and his expression unreadable. He told the night security that his wife was resting, asked for privacy, and disappeared into the elevator without another word. Inside the suite, time seemed to stop. The champagne glasses sat untouched, the petals crushed beneath scattered footprints. The soundproof walls hid everything, whatever words were exchanged, whatever violence followed. But witnesses later claimed they heard something faint through the vents around 2:20, a soft crash, maybe a scream, then silence again. When room service knocked to deliver the breakfast tray the next morning, no one answered. By then, the sunlight pouring through the panoramic windows painted the room in gold, illuminating the chaos that had unfolded hours before. The bedding was torn, the mirror cracked, and a single heel lay near the door. Emma's phone was found shattered beside the bed, its screen locked on a message draft that was never sent. Khalid's car was gone from the underground garage. No one saw him leave the property, yet the private jet records later confirmed a flight request had been logged at 3:45 a.m. to Al Maktoum Airport. By the time the hotel staff finally forced the door open, it was too late. The fairy tale wedding had turned into a crime scene, and the woman the world had adored was lying lifeless beneath the glittering Dubai skyline. When the hotel staff finally entered the penthouse, they were met with a scene straight out of a nightmare. The suite that had hosted one of Dubai's most glamorous newlyweds just hours earlier now looked like the aftermath of a struggle. The once pristine white carpet was stained deep red, the expensive silk sheets tangled and torn, and the faint scent of roses mixed with something metallic and sharp. Emma lay motionless on the marble floor beside the bed, her wedding dress soaked in blood. Her veil had fallen halfway across the room, and her diamond necklace, once a symbol of love, was broken, its jewels scattered like shattered promises. There were no signs of forced entry, no broken locks or smashed windows. The balcony doors were closed, the security system untouched. Whoever did it had been inside with her. The first responders arrived within minutes, but nothing could be done. Emma Collins was pronounced dead at the scene, her death ruled as homicide. The autopsy later revealed blunt force trauma to the head and signs of strangulation. There were bruises on her wrists, defensive wounds on her hands, proof that she had fought hard for her life. But something crucial was missing. The investigators found no trace of the mysterious envelope Khalid had received before the wedding. It was gone, along with her husband. Hotel cameras showed Khalid leaving the building, calm and composed, just minutes before the estimated time of death. He made no attempt to flee the city publicly, no calls, no farewells. It was as if he'd vanished into thin air. The headlines erupted across every platform within hours. Dubai bride murdered on wedding night. The story dominated global news. What was supposed to be the start of forever had turned into a cold, calculated nightmare. By the time the sun rose over the city, Khalid Al-Saif had vanished completely. His name was on every news channel, every newspaper, every gossip site. The police launched a massive manhunt, but he was always one step ahead. Surveillance footage from Al Maktoum International showed him passing through a private terminal at 4:07 a.m., wearing a cap and casual jacket, boarding his jet bound for an undisclosed location. The flight plan listed Muscat as the destination, but radar logs showed the plane changed direction midair before disappearing from the system entirely. Within hours, the richest groom in Dubai had become its most wanted man. Interpol got involved, freezing his assets and seizing his luxury cars and offshore accounts. Yet nothing led them closer to him. Some said he bribed his way out of the country using family connections. Others claimed he never left Dubai at all, that he hid in one of his family's desert villas, protected by silence and money. Theories spread like wildfire, but none stuck. Meanwhile, Emma's murder became a global obsession. True crime bloggers dissected every second of their wedding video, pausing frames and searching for clues in their smiles. Journalists camped outside the Burj Al Arab, hoping for an exclusive. The Al-Saif family released a brief statement expressing deep sorrow, but refused interviews. Behind closed doors, they hired their own investigators to clean up what remained of the scandal. Weeks turned into months, and still no trace of Khalid surfaced. His Instagram disappeared, his bank accounts stayed frozen, and his friends kept quiet. But strange whispers began to circulate in Dubai's high circles. Rumors that someone had seen him alive, somewhere far from the city's skyline, living under a different name. The billionaire groom had become a ghost, and ghosts don't leave trails. Months after Khalid's disappearance, the case had begun to fade from mainstream headlines, but deep online, it was far from over. On a dark web forum known for leaking hidden surveillance footage, a post appeared under the username Desert Ghost. The title read, "The Real Wedding Night, Dubai Bride Murder Tape." The message claimed to contain unreleased footage from the penthouse suite on the night of Emma's death, proof that the truth had never been told. Within hours, the post exploded across social media, though no one could trace its source. Authorities tried to shut the link down, but not before thousands downloaded the mysterious file. What they saw was brief, less than 40 seconds of grainy, shaky footage showing a man's silhouette standing over a woman in a white gown. The camera, possibly from a hidden corner, captured the faint sound of heavy breathing and muffled sobs before cutting to black. Just before the screen went dark, a voice whispered something that experts later struggled to enhance. Some claimed it said, "I told you not to lie." Others heard nothing but static. The IP address led investigators to a server in Seychelles, paid for with untraceable cryptocurrency. It was impossible to confirm if the footage was real or a cruel fabrication. Yet the timing was too perfect. The leak reignited global obsession with the case. News outlets debated whether Khalid himself uploaded the video, taunting authorities from wherever he was hiding. Forensic analysts worked tirelessly to verify the clip, comparing it to hotel surveillance data. Nothing matched perfectly, but the chilling detail of the room, the same drapes, the same furniture, was undeniable. Whether genuine or staged, the video cemented the story in legend. Emma's murder was no longer just a crime. It had become digital folklore. As investigators dug deeper into Emma's past, the glamorous image she'd built began to unravel piece by piece. She wasn't the successful entrepreneur she had claimed to be, nor the innocent model who found love abroad. The truth was far darker. Emma Collins had been part of a sophisticated scam ring that targeted wealthy men through fake relationships, investments, and luxury cons. In Miami, she had used charm and fake business proposals to drain thousands from her victims before disappearing. The operation was slick, romance turned into fraud, promises turned into stolen bank accounts. She was the beauty behind a web of deceit. When the ring was busted by U.S. authorities, Emma escaped arrest by faking her identity, and slipping out of the country under a forged passport. Dubai became her new beginning, a place where nobody asked questions as long as you looked rich enough. She transformed into Amelia Hart, erasing every trace of her criminal history. For a while, it worked. She attended charity events, mingled with millionaires, and built a following online. Everyone adored her sophistication, her humble beginnings, her mysterious past. But someone from that past hadn't forgotten. One of her former victims, a New York investor ruined by her scam, had powerful friends. Through a web of connections, word reached Khalid's inner circle before the wedding. The mysterious envelope had been sent not out of kindness, but revenge. It was meant to destroy her perfect new life. Investigators found records linking Emma to multiple fake bank accounts and stolen identities, proving that her secret had always been closer to exposure than she realized. Her marriage to Khalid might have been her greatest con yet, but it was also her final one. She had built her empire on lies, and that night, it finally collapsed. Nearly a month after the murder, just when it seemed the case had gone cold, a plain brown envelope arrived at Dubai police headquarters with no return address. Inside was a single USB drive. It was labeled only with the initials KS. Investigators hesitated, suspecting a hoax, but what they heard when they pressed play sent chills through the entire department. It was Khalid's voice, steady, low, and filled with exhaustion. The audio lasted just over 5 minutes and sounded like a confession recorded in one take. He began by saying he never planned to hurt Emma. He described how he had loved her more than his own name, how he ignored every warning, every red flag, until that envelope arrived. Then his tone shifted. He said he confronted her quietly in their suite after the wedding, showing her the photos, asking for the truth. According to him, she laughed. She told him he wasn't her first, that she'd done it before and would have done it again. Khalid's breathing grew uneven on the tape as he admitted losing control. He said he didn't remember what happened next, only that she stopped moving. He spoke about panic, about trying to call for help and then deciding against it. "You can't destroy me," he said softly, his voice trembling. "You already did." Then came static, followed by a faint sound of waves and wind, as if he were recording near the ocean. The file ended abruptly with a loud splash, leaving investigators stunned. Forensic experts confirmed the voice matched Khalid's, but the location remained unknown. Some believed he was near the coast the night he recorded it. Others thought it was his final message before ending his life. Whatever the truth, the confession reignited the mystery and deepened it beyond imagination. 6 months after the confession tape surfaced, the world had almost moved on. The case was cold, the trail long gone, and Khalid Al-Saif was still missing. Then, on a quiet morning off the coast of Oman, a group of fishermen stumbled upon something buried in the sand. At first, they thought it was debris washed ashore after a storm. But as the tide shifted, a human hand appeared. Authorities were called immediately, and by evening, the entire beach was sealed off. What they uncovered was a decomposed body wrapped in what looked like fragments of an expensive tuxedo. Dental records and DNA confirmed the impossible. It was Khalid. His watch had stopped at 2:29 a.m., the same time Emma's death had been estimated. The eerie coincidence left investigators baffled. How could a man vanish by private jet and end up buried miles away on a deserted island? The forensic report suggested he'd been dead for months, his body showing signs of exposure and salt damage. There were no clear signs of struggle, no bullet wounds, no drugs, just the faint trace of seawater in his lungs, as though he had drowned before being buried. Speculation exploded online. Some believed he'd taken his own life out of guilt, his final act of penance for what he'd done. Others claimed someone had silenced him to keep another secret hidden. The most chilling theory suggested he was never meant to survive that night, that both Khalid and Emma had been pawns in something much bigger, something that began long before they met. When authorities recovered his belongings, they found one final clue: the missing envelope, waterlogged but intact, tucked into his suit pocket. Inside were the same photos that started it all, now blurred, faded, and meaningless. The truth had drowned with him. The Burj Al Arab penthouse where it all happened was sealed indefinitely after the investigation ended. No amount of cleaning could erase what took place there. The management quietly removed it from booking lists, listing it only as Suite 709 under maintenance. But among hotel staff, It earned a darker name, the bride's room. Those who worked the night shifts whispered about strange sounds, soft footsteps, faint crying, the smell of roses suddenly filling the air even when no flowers were present. Some swore they saw a woman in a wedding dress standing near the window, staring out at the dark sea before vanishing into thin air. Guests began reporting eerie experiences too. A honeymoon couple who accidentally stayed in the neighboring suite claimed they woke to knocking sounds at 2:29 a.m., the same minute Emma was killed. Another guest said she saw a blood-red reflection in the mirror that disappeared when she turned around. The hotel tried to dismiss the stories as gossip, but the legends only grew stronger. Eventually, paranormal enthusiasts and influencers began sneaking in, chasing the ghost of the Dubai bride. Every year on the anniversary of the murder, the city remembers the tragedy that turned luxury into legend. Flowers appear mysteriously at the entrance of the Burj Al Arab, white roses stained with red tips. No one knows who leaves them. Some say it's Khalid's family, others believe it's someone seeking forgiveness. A few think it's Emma herself, still haunting the man who destroyed her dream. Today, the suite remains untouched, a frozen piece of history high above the Arabian Gulf. The lights flicker every night at the same time, and if you listen closely, locals say you can hear her voice whispering through the halls, soft, sad, and forever waiting.